What I always tell the guys is like, hey, as long as we're not having customers call and complain about you guys and leaving us 1-star reviews, as long as we're not obviously catching someone's house on fire, neglecting safety or the quality or reliability of our work, in my mind, there's no decision that could be made that can't be fixed. And because we're so confident in our ability to serve and we're staying committed to the service that we provide, no matter what happens, essentially there's no risk to the customer. So it's like, hey, make a decision, get them to their desired end goal, go from there. I don't know, man. I think it's just so important to pour into your team. We often say that, hey, you can't push a line across the table, but you definitely can pull it. Everything that we do in our business is always centered around setting them up for success, setting some type of goals for them to hit. There are some type of expectations, but at the end of the day, it's just making sure they have absolutely everything they need to go out and do the thing and reach the goals that were set for them.
Hello, and welcome to the $1 Million Electrician Podcast, where we help home service pros like you supercharge your business and spark up those sales.
I'm Joseph Lucani, and together with my co-host, Clay Newmeyer, we're here to share the secrets that have helped electricians sell over $1 million from a single service van.
Now it's time for sales. It's time for scale. It's time to become $1 million electrician. Hey guys, welcome back to another great episode of the $1 Million Electrician. We're in season 3, as you know, and we have a guest again. And this is actually the third time that we've had this guest on the show. So we're super pumped to bring Dorian Hayes back. Dorian, it's been a ton of fun working with you, man, and seeing your growth. And you guys, this will not be the same boring podcast that Dorian did last time. Just kidding, Dorian. This is actually, we've got a bunch of new wins, really cool stuff that's going to help you guys understand killer branding better, understand being able to recruit and how your branding affects that. Understand how Dorian took a $24 Angie's lead to over $60,000 by running the play and just doing a proper presentation and really serving that person at the highest level. And even more recently, Dorian started messing with some Facebook ads, and we just reviewed results in class yesterday. Dorian, if you're open to it, I'd love to cover all these topics and more with you today. And of course, Joseph's with us in the brand new SLE swag. How you doing, brother?
Nice.
I'm feeling great. Just had some time off for my birthday. Feeling like I'm a better version of myself this year. Wearing some comfy clothes, fully caffeinated, surrounded by people I love, doing what I love to do. I'm living the dream, man.
Yeah, I'm feeling that energy, brother. I got a new morning routine, as I mentioned yesterday, and I was like 5 a.m. sprinting to dinner. I couldn't stop. The energy was just flowing. I'm trying this new thing. It's called going to bed early and getting up at 4 a.m. It's actually a game changer. It's actually a game changer. I'm serious because all of a sudden I had 2 hours to prepare for my day.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to share this with you guys quick and just be selfish because I think it might help you too to know that I'm that person I was falling into a slump of not finding the energy in the evening at the end of the day to plan for tomorrow. And because I was able to actually set my sleeping schedule back, so I go to bed at 9 now instead of 11 was kind of my typical. But the problem is when you're already burned out at 4 p.m., then I was wasting like 5-6 hours a day just kind of treading lightly, trying to stay afloat. So I found that, hey, when I moved this back and I got up at 4:20 to be precise, I was nice to myself for the first day.
Mm-hmm.
But after a couple hours, I hit the team meeting. Joe, I know you weren't there because of the birthday weekend, but crushed the team meeting yesterday morning to kick the week off. Felt it. Everyone felt it. I'm feeling great today. Hit the gym for the first time last night in a long time. So wanted to bring that energy to you guys, let you know what's up. If you're thinking or feeling rather that burnout end of the day, it could be just a reset of schedule even to help you out. You guys ever experienced something like that before?
I'm literally going through the exact same thing right now. It's hilarious that you brought that up. I shifted my life from 6 a.m. to 5 a.m. and now I'm trying to go from 5 a.m. to 4:45 and eventually get to 4:30. My issue is with the young kids, actually getting to go to bed early is very difficult to do. But God willing, I'm going to be able to get it done so that I can do morning prayer, have a good workout, get a head start on the work day, and then the kids wake up so that I can take the day as the best possible dad I can be. So I'm right there with you on those early mornings. I love it.
Just out of curiosity, what's early for you?
What's early for me? So right now, normal wake up is 5 a.m. So I'd like to get to a point where I'm doing 4:45 to 4:30. In the perfect world, if I could manage to go to bed and actually be asleep at 8 o'clock, which is some stretch of reality, I don't know how I can ever enter. I'd love to be up at 4. That way I can have that 2 hour, 3 hour gap, because that would just be
Mm,
such a huge game changer, not only with work, but with my personal health. I could get more time to work out. I could have more time to be dedicated into my prayers, so it helps my spiritual health. And even Ben Franklin made the statement: early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise.
yeah.
So why wouldn't we want to be following the great advice?
So you're an 8 hour sleeper.
I mean, if I'm lucky, I get 8 hours of sleep. Usually, I can operate anywhere between 6 and 7. I try for 8. I really do try for 8, but with the kids, I mean, like I don't get a full night's sleep as it is. So if I can get 6 hours of unbroken, I'm gravy.
We got another dad here. Dorian, what's your sleep schedule, bro?
So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Clay. I've been trying to wake up at 4, but I realized that when I'm not getting at least 7 hours of sleep by about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm pretty worn out. So I've recently shifted my schedule to be more realistic, which is I know for a fact I'm able to at least get in the bed in between 9 and 10. As long as I fall asleep by 10 o'clock, I can wake up at 5 and I'll be good to go. That being said, I do miss waking up at 4 because, like you just mentioned, having that 2 to 3 hour gap in the mornings uninterrupted was a game changer, but it just wasn't something I could sustain consistently. So I kind of had to make that adjustment. One day, though.
Yeah, man. Even for this morning, getting ready, we're actually recording two podcasts today,
Yeah.
and the other one, Andy Kyle, the same thing. I was just able to prepare, right? Do those things. I know I've needed to do those things. I know every night I should be planning my next day. I know I should be sending the links out. But when you're just flat out of energy, you're out of energy. You got to change something. So, wishing you luck with that. The little guy, does he let you get to sleep early?
Yeah, he's more on a routine than we are. He's pretty much bathed and ready to get in bed in between 8 and 9. So that's our goal. We always do time slots, so it's like in between 8 and 9, we can get him in bed and ready to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So, Dorian, you've had some really cool stuff happen this year. And one of the biggest wins we've ever seen from Angie's leads, I was hoping we could go into a bit today. I know you did a personal interview just so we could try to maximize our curriculum around Angie's leads and other lead aggregators like Yelp, Thumbtack, Home Advisor, what do they call it? Canada's got like homestars.net or whatever it is. And a lot of people share this opinion about these lead aggregating services, which is actually pretty true. The opinion is that, hey, these guys go and they farm for a bunch of people, a bunch of leads. And they kind of do that through website SEO stuff. So when someone searches for an electrician near you, a lot of times they'll see one of the top results. Maybe they're even doing PPC stuff and then reselling. I don't know the exact inside details, but I know their SEO is stacked. And because all these electricians apply to be on there, it helps their ranking. So they show up as a top result. And then as a result, they go and sell those leads to multiple electricians at the same time. Or, of course, as you know, Dorian, if you pay more, then you can get some exclusive access to leads that only you and maybe one or two other people get. Is that right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
right, exactly.
And I just start this off by saying, like, what is your opinion of lead aggregators at this point? Has it been a waste of money for you? Is it something you enjoy doing? Or generally, give me your lay of the land thoughts on this.
So I believe that lead aggregators in general, whenever you have a dialed-in sales process that you can rely on, you have the data of knowing what your average opportunity, average ticket is, when you're offering multiple options, when you're prepared and trained to handle any type of objection. And at the end of the day, you're just looking to serve at the highest level. I believe that a lead is a lead, and it's more so about hitting our KPIs and taking advantage of every single opportunity, no matter where it's coming from. Because whenever I reflect on it, and if I were to completely neglect Angie's, we'd have $65,000 less in revenue this year.
Really
So,
solid point. That
yeah.
makes sense. And when you said really make sure you hit your KPI, what did you mean by that?
So we know that there's a certain amount of leads that have to come in based on our booking rate for us to max out our schedule. We know what our average ticket is. We know what our close rate is. And so if we can just maximize the amount of leads that we're getting, then the data still remains true that we're going to sell roughly 60% of every opportunity that we go out to at roughly an average ticket of 2,300. And the more leads that come in, the more people we get on the schedule, the more sales will come in. That being said, there's always, because the fact that we're offering 6 options every time, there's always an opportunity for us to essentially hit the jackpot. And that's what ended up happening with this guy. It's not something that happens every single week, but when it does happen, it can be pretty game changing for your business, having that influx of cash coming in all at once.
I love the fact that you're sticking to the 6 options every single time because, at least personally, I found that one of the big benefits of it is that it doesn't necessarily matter what we think the lead wants. It's that you presenting the wide range of options so that regardless of what kind of buyer archetype they actually are, not just what they're fronting as, but what they actually are, you have a means of serving them. And the cool thing about that is I'm sure when you get these competitive leads, everyone's trying to be like, oh, well, they're seeing a bunch of people. Let's go high price. But you have price-based options, but then you also have service-based options. So you can compete, but you can also stand out from the crowd by saying, this is what we really can do to serve you. So I think it actually gives you a huge advantage in those type of calls.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, which, this is going to kind of get into, I guess, the nitty gritty of the call with this customer. But essentially, this guy, he just called because he had some ballasts that weren't working in his kitchen. And it's crazy how it ended up. Pretty much, we ended up remodeling his entire electrical system outside of pulling new wire. So, and he was happy, like, he was extremely happy to go the extra mile. And I think, you guys probably know, like, whenever you're offering 6 options and you have that platinum option up there, and it's like, man, like, this is really the works. But, and like we always say in the process, it's not that we're anticipating you even taking this one, it's just to display the level of service that we can provide. And before I could even get down to the lower options, he was like, yeah, I'm looking at that one.
Is this a great feeling? Let's see,
Right?
like, how did it feel when you heard that? Like, you give them the number and you're like, let's move on to the next one. I like that one. How'd
Yeah.
you feel? Tell me that in that moment. What were you feeling?
I felt, I mean, in the moment, if I can remember correctly, I'm trying to remember. I think this was May, so we were just kind of starting into like a really busy season. And whenever he said that, like I said, it was an Angie's lead. He called really just to get his kitchen lights back working, and I wasn't
Mhm.
expecting it. But as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, oh wow. It was I was just happy for the fact that we were going to be able to serve him at the highest level that we offered. But it didn't stop there. Of course. So,
Yeah, this gets crazy, you guys. You're going to want to hear this whole story, including Dorian asked him at the end why he chose to use Angie's leads. Asked him why he decided to choose Hayes Electrical. And the answers might actually really surprise you guys, as much as Dorian was surprised about this $24 lead turning into over 60K. What was the final tab that this amounted to again, Dorian?
so the final was $66,709.
And you guys can hear Dorian's kind of slow articulation of that. That's because he's literally reading a document for which he did a case study internally to make sure they understood why this happened. And if you haven't picked up on why that would be powerful, it's so that you could do it again. It's so that you can train your team to the value of these presentations, of sticking to, as we say, STYO, stick to your offer. So I congratulate you on that too. I was super, super pleased when you pulled out the document and you were able to walk me through how this happened. And that's a big part of what people are anticipating on this podcast. So, Dorian, tell us about the first sale with this person then. $24 lead, I think you said. You guys go out to run the play. Sounds like a demand call so far. So you make some options. What happened?
Yeah, so we set this up as a two call close because there was going to be some like there's going to be a lot of drywall repair for the top
Mm.
option. And so in order for me to give him, the most accurate price I could, we decided to set it up as a two call close. I want to say we came back the Friday of the same week that we saw him, and like I just mentioned, six option presentation. He ended up choosing the platinum option, paying his deposit, and we got him scheduled for the very next week to get everything started. But as soon as we got started, and he started seeing, well, let me just say this: we ended up he ended up choosing an option that completely renovated his entire lighting system in his kitchen, hallways, the foyer, and the laundry area. Keeping in mind that he only asked for lights in his kitchen, but he liked the idea of recessed lights. So it also included a service upgrade, placing his electrical panel, complete drywall repair and paint in all the areas that we're going to be replacing the lights in. And he also became a first class pass member with us. So at this point, he chose our top option, and there were still opportunities for more with the first class pass and then electrical inspection. But after we started or got started on the work, he ended up liking the recessed lights so much that he began to ask for recessed lights in more of the rooms. So now, at this point, he wants recessed lights throughout his entire house, and he's wanting to add some new outlets in specific areas. And so, because we give our technicians permission to run the install upgrade process and to offer options, because they're trained on how to price jobs and things like that. Um, at this point, our lead technician was able to gather all the additional requests that he had, and he came up with another set of options. He came back to present them, and that led to another $8,000 sale.
Okay,
So
sounds
yeah,
solid.
so second sale, right in the
Dorian, can
middle
I
of,
actually pause you for a
yeah.
second?
Go ahead.
I just want to help. There's a chance that someone may have just heard about this for the first time, this podcast, whether it's through our sponsor, Duramax portable generators, or through the various channels of social media, et cetera, where people find us. What's a two call close?
Yeah, two call close is when you go out to evaluate the situation and get a deeper understanding of what the customer's looking for. And the two call close comes in where you explain to them what the next steps are. And so that we can come back, take all this information back, and design a proposal that gives them a complete range of options, all the information summarized in an easy to understand way. Um, we get them on the schedule for a second visit for us to come back and just purely focus on the proposal. So, in certain situations, if I could have easily done this in one call. Well, I say easily, but it would have taken, maybe 2 hours or so. But after a 2 hour visit, people, I mean, if you think about attention spans and, they have other things that they need to do, I they're not necessarily in the best position to be making a decision, especially whenever it involves a significant investment like that. So the two call close just allows us to put the customer in a better position. We're better prepared. Everyone can have fresh minds, fresh eyes, and we can actually ensure that they're making the best possible decision for their home.
Can I ask a critical question?
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, do you think this would have went the same way if you had done a one call close, rushed the presentation that day, and just got something going?
No, absolutely not. One of the questions I did ask him was, whenever it comes to making decisions like this, do you, or how do you feel about your wife's, or your having the opinion of your partner? And he was
Bingo.
like, yeah, I always love to have my wife. present whenever it comes to decisions like this. And so I could have imagined that if I would have presented while I was there, she wasn't home, then it could have led to, them saying, yeah, let us think about it. And then you have the buyer's remorse, and who knows what would have happened at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks for taking us there. All right, so you mentioned installer upgrade. The guys are comfortable, they're trained on options, so they put some options together. So you don't actually go back for the next sale.
No, actually, I didn't make any of the last sales. So I started off with the 28,000, and then our technician made the next sale for 8,200. And then again, keeping in mind that he's also a member at this point, so we did inform him that, as we're going throughout the home, we're going to be in the attic, we're going to be pulling new wires. If we see anything that, would be worth mentioning, what would you want us to do with that information? He wanted to know all about it. So as we began to see stuff, we saw some improperly sized breakers, and we were already doing a service or a panel upgrade for one of his other panels. And so, as we started adding more recessed lights throughout the house, installing the new outlets and things like that, we ended up finding that there was multiple rooms on one circuit, and then he began to want outlets and switches in more locations. And then he explained to us that his goal is that whenever it comes time to sell the house, he wanted to be able to sell it with no issues on the inspection report, and he wanted everything to just be a smooth experience for his family if he happens to pass before they sell the house. And so that gave us the Joe.
I was going to wait till you're done, but there's definitely something I want to add to that. Please continue.
Okay. So as we were opening up boxes, we saw, backstab devices. I mentioned the multiple circuits on one room, and I guess the main motivator behind him wanting to do all this work in the first place. And so we gave him another set of options, which included a whole home device renovation, separating the circuits for the rooms, and installing new lights in his bedroom closets, which that was a request that he had. And so that led to a $16,000 sale. And after we began doing um, the work for that sale, then he ended up, talking about under cabinet lights and ceiling fans and wanting some of the lights to be dimmed. Now, at this point, like, to be honest, I feel kind of bad because, I say bad because I could have offered all of this stuff in the very first presentation, but it just, I guess it wasn't, there was no justification for me to go there because, all of this new information started coming up as he began to experience our service. But, anyways, the last sale we ended up getting was a 13,800 sale where we installed smart dimmer switches throughout his entire house and replaced all of his ceiling fans. And then we also added under cabinet lighting for him.
I love this. I'm going to jump right into
Yeah.
this, Dorian. I wanted to make sure you got through it. So the thing that really stood out to me that I feel like other people are also going to be like, well, hold on, wait a second, was he wanted to sell his house. Like that, I don't think we can't stress enough about, because when everyone says something along the lines of, oh, well, he's trying to sell or he's preparing to sell, usually the mindset the typical electrician has is, oh, he's looking to go cheap so he can maximize the profit of what he's doing. But he's actually doing it the smarter way. By investing into his home now, there'll be nothing written on the inspection report. With nothing written on the inspection report, there's nothing the buyer has to negotiate against the price of the sale, meaning he is more entitled to maximum asking price, and he can actually list it as a home that's more likely to sell because it meets modern safety standards and can be tailored to the things that normally has the hot buttons, like chargers and interlocks and recessed lights and modern safety systems and the upgraded cert. Like you did all the things. So the first thing was anyone who's listening right now and saying, oh, he's trying to sell, he's going cheap, listen to this one instead. Because just because they're trying to sell doesn't mean they're going to want to cut corners. He invested into his home and as a result sold more. That was the first thing to get into. The other thing that I thought was so cool was you had said, well, we could have offered this at the first one. And the reason why I'm so glad you didn't was because if you, let's say, sake of argument, let's put you back in that moment. If you said, I'm going to know what I know now, offer all the things, do you think the call would have gone anywhere near like the way it did?
No.
Now it's interesting.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because it actually
Well,
comes down to our observation section. Why is it?
well, I was thinking along the lines of there's, throughout the process, there was a lot of trust building involved. So, from the first visit, he had a really good experience with Juliet in the office, which was the main reason why he ended up going with us anyway. And after he met with me multiple times, then he met our technicians and saw the work that we
Mhm.
did. That increased the level of trust that he had with us to feel comfortable asking for more.
Bingo. I love the fact that, like I said, you stuck with what you called me for. Here's the thing you called me for. And here's what's directly connected what you called me for. And the cool thing was you didn't reach. It wasn't for things that were out of left field. It made sense, everything you offered. And as a result, he's able to take you on with full trust. And now that the trust is built and he's been able to showcase the benefit of working with you, he has more motivation to continue working with you. Whereas instead, if you had just tried going for the absolute home run of everything, you could have ended up with nothing. So I'm so proud of you for sticking to the process.
Mr. Fix It, Mr. Sell It, Mr. Service.
Damn right.
Mr. Service in this case, right? Mr. Sell It might have gone for the home run and pushed too hard and lost something there. Mr. Fix It might have just come in and done nothing else, nothing more, offered nothing more, just fixed that original ballast and inspired no confidence, no additional trust. And that was a question that really stood out to me when we did the kind of case study and academy review of this thing, was that I asked you at the end, do you feel this was a home run no matter who did the job? And you had said, absolutely not. It's because you ran a process that gives the homeowner choice, right? So absolutely. I actually agree with Joe on this one too, and I would add extra weight to say, I think the installers were the right people to take it the extra miles there. Why do you guys think that is?
I can say that at this point, we had this guy on the schedule. I mean, we ended up working at his house for probably 2, 3, 4 weeks. And so they ended up spending more time with the customer than I did. And so it just makes sense. Like they know at this point, they know way more about the home than I do. So whenever they came to me with like, hey, this customer is asking for more things, I'm like, well, you guys know how to price the jobs, you guys know how to build options, and I did help them at the very least. But because they had a way deeper understanding of the customer, what he was looking for, why he wanted it, and the condition of the home than I did. So it just makes sense that they were able to speak to it a lot better than I could.
I love that.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Joe? Why do homeowners love installers more?
Well, they're more trustworthy, at least in the customer's opinion, right? Like when we, as polished service professionals, come in, certain people might look at that and be like, "Oh, he's in a nice van. He's wearing a nice shirt. He's looking clean and probably he's probably a sales guy." And I think what was it written where like the number one acceptable sin is that you can lie to a salesperson and it's okay. So like people don't trust salespeople because we've been had such a bias against us as a whole industry. But no one's going to look at the technician who's got dirt under his nails and is physically doing the job and he's taking the orders. They're not looking at him like he's trying to sell something. If he makes a suggestion, it's like, well, I trust this guy. He's the one who knows what he's talking about. Yeah, well, tell me what you got to say. And because they were able to not only be in that position of trust, they were able to demonstrate their competency by doing the job over such a period of time that now they're competent and they're trustworthy. And now you have the reputation of the company behind it and all the training you've invested in them for them to be able to articulate in the service of why you should take these things. I see it as like the culmination of you doing all the right things to serve on a complete and total level. You didn't just sell the thing, you also delivered it, but then you created the feedback loop by having the installers also be able to provide value and generate the additional sale, allowing you to serve him more now and again in the future.
Absolutely. I've got two shameless plugs here I'm going to throw in right here, right now. One is that the very thing that Joe just said, we actually started doing a daily long form email that is teaching you guys how to master your service business from real stories from the trade, from myself, from Joe, real lessons from what we teach, and real examples of where it's working, like Dorian's saying here. And that email is going out every single day. There's never been a better newsletter for electricians. We've made sure of it. And we're writing these things personally. A lot of people leverage AI these days. I'm telling you, the only thing AI does on these is gives it a quick read over to make sure I didn't say something stupid. Other than that, I'm the one pushing send and reading all the replies. So you guys go ahead and take advantage of that. Where you can get it is on Service Loop Electrical. Just by contacting us, you can join the newsletter there, as well as reaching out to us on any social media platform. Now, for Dorian's sake, this is the other shameless plug I want to say. A lot of people are starting to watch this on YouTube, more and more viewership. People are really appreciating seeing these deeper dive interviews, and we love you guys for it. First and foremost, I want to let you know that when you subscribe, it lets us know that we're doing the right things so we can keep doing more of those things, getting better and better guests and better stories and better content to YouTube. So do subscribe, do let someone else know who needs to see this too. But also, please leave a comment below. And here's the little question I have for you guys. I'm about to give Dorian ultimate leadership compliments, but even before I do, comment 100K below if you, just from what you've heard and seen of Dorian in the last few episodes he's done with us, would want to hire Dorian as a service manager for your business and pay him 100K or more to do it. That's a fun little way to boost Dorian's confidence here, make him feel good about this, because what I'm about to tell you is actually pretty shocking. Even though we train the installer upgrade, I would say less than 10% of people actually do this effectively. It's a very uncommon focal area, and it relies on a single point of leadership that is extremely tough to come around. And that's why people don't do this, I feel personally. And it's what I call servant leadership. And that's kind of a common term. And what that means is you're not actually there to micromanage everyone. You're there to serve those people to be able to do their work to the best of their ability. And Dorian's embodied that. So please accept my compliments here, Dorian. What I mean by that is he didn't go and say, oh, I'll make the options. He didn't go and take it back from them. He literally, from the conversations I've had, you've literally not wanted to do that thing. You've made it kind of your standard to make sure your people are equipped to do those things for you and to go and learn their own mistakes. And I think you even shared a bit of a leadership framework for solving problems and getting your guys to take action. Would you speak to that for a moment, Dorian?
Yeah, absolutely. So, last question or last thing we talked about was the 131 method, which is our decision making framework. But I think before I even get into that, the most important thing that we've done was be extra sure that our teammates know that they have the permission to make a decision, and they also have permission to make a decision that doesn't necessarily work out well. So on that preface, the 131 method is you start with one problem. So, what is the problem that we have? You come up with three viable solutions, and then you make one decision. And so, before they call me and ask me, like, hey, what do you want me to do? Or what do you think? Or whatever the case is, I actually would prefer them to, you know, identify the problem, figure out three solutions, and then just make a decision. And the reason for that is because we want them to go out and have the confidence to like have the problem solving skills and the decision making abilities without me having to answer the phone every 5 minutes. And whenever you think about this, we don't have 40 vans running or anything like that. But if that's something that we can make a part of our culture now, as a team of five, then as you know, those are going to be the guys that are going to be setting the foundation as we continue to grow.
100%.
I agree. Aren't you afraid of the mistakes they'll make?
Not at all. I think we may have talked about there's some decisions that are, I guess, not reversible, and then there are some decisions that are reversible. And I want to say that, what I always tell the guys is like, hey, as long as we're not having customers call and complain about you guys and leaving us 1-star reviews, as long as we're not obviously catching someone's house on fire, neglecting
Mhm.
safety or the quality or reliability of our work, there's absolutely no decision that you guys can make. And I might be wrong there, but in my mind, there's no decision that could be made that can't be fixed. And because we're so confident in our ability to serve and we're staying committed to the service that we provide, no matter what happens, then it essentially there's no risk to the customer. So it's like, hey, make a decision. Let's get them to their desired end goal, and go from there.
It's like leadership faith. That's what
Yeah,
that feels like to me.
absolutely. And um, I don't know, man. I think it's just so important to just pour into pour into your team. So like I said, I'm not the one. We often say that, hey, you can't push a line across the table, but you definitely can pull it. And so everything that we do in our business is always centered around setting them up for success, and obviously, setting some type of goals for them to hit. There are some type of expectations, but at the end of the day, it's just making sure they have absolutely everything they need to go out and do the thing and reach the goals that were set for them. And when something goes wrong, we take it back to the shop, we evaluate exactly what happened, we learn from it, get better, and then we go back out and do it again.
I love that, man. I love that. So thanks for going there with me. We're gonna just take this back and finish this Angie's lead thing up. So you talked to this guy after the fact. You went and talked to him again, and you asked him a few questions. What were some of the questions, and what did you want to know from him, and what did you learn when you did that?
Yeah, so I do have the document that I wrote about this entire thing pulled up. So at the end of everything, I ended up asking him for the brutally honest feedback, and that's something that we've actually included as a part of our process. Even our installers are writing this information down after they ask for a review, and so it was an obvious thing that he decided to invest, a sizable amount into his home, but specifically with us. So I asked him, what made him decide to trust in investing this much into his home with us? And, he explained that he always had people that he can count on for anything that he needs. And a good residential electrician has always been the hardest thing to find and keep. And he made sure to emphasize that keep. But what really sold him was actually Juliet, which is our office manager, my wife. He said that as soon as he called her office, he commented on how she actually made him smile on the phone. And if any of those of you who know the Brighter Day call process, we run it pretty much word for word, and it's actually something common. People telling Julia that she makes them smile on the phone. After meeting with me, though, and our technicians, he explained that from the first call to the initial visit and the entire process throughout, he could tell that we truly care about the people we serve, and that although we are a young company, he could see that we had the drive to become the best. And that is pretty much what gave him, I guess, all the confidence in the world that we were the right fit. But he just, even after saying all those things, he definitely made sure to emphasize that Juliet was the true star of the company.
Juliet, the
Incredible.
MVP. Love it.
Yep.
Joe, let me ask you quick as a reflection.
Sure.
The majority of this process was from your blood, sweat, and tears and training over the years that Dorian's reflecting on. How does that make you feel to hear that? Still working and maybe working better than ever after all these years.
You know, there's a lot of different emotions to speak to, but the one that comes up most is not a sense necessarily of pride, but it's something along the lines of gratitude, in that a lot of what I've learned came from trial and error and from trying to learn from anyone who'd be willing to teach me. And I did not always have a perfect process. Like, it was not always clean and crisp and articulate. It was, sometimes we were pretty shitty. It is what it is, you know? But the fact that Dorian could be handed a finished product and say, this is what I've built and bled for over this many years, so that you don't have to trip and stumble like I did, and he can go right to the finish line and get these huge wins being a new company, it just makes me feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, and I'm serving an industry that needed to be served. And I'm just really grateful that I get to be able to say that I can do that for people. So when Dorian says that it works for him and that, you know, he's getting these kind of successes, I, instead of saying, well, thank you for, you know, teaching you, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you. I'm really glad to see this actually work so well for you.
I think we may need to have Juliet on for a CSR and Brighter Day call process episode. What do you think about that?
I'm down. I think it'd be a great idea.
Think she'd be in, Dorian?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, she's been amazing. I mean, we any chance we have to ask for feedback about how was the customer's experience with us? What do they like about it? It's very common that people are talking about how amazing Juliet was, just to talk to. I mean, we've had some customers who said, like, you guys just make me want to invite you guys over for dinner. And I mean, these people have literally never met her, but just because of the energy that she's providing over the phone, it just makes everything come full circle.
I feel like Juliet could have a part-time job on BetterHelp and just talk to people and just listen and probably make them feel pretty good about
Right?
themselves.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome feedback. We're going to invite Juliet for a podcast for sure. Then that would be a great idea. There's still more we could talk about here, guys. I'd love to shift into this post you did and the response you got for another CSR to help alleviate some of Juliet's schedule there. You did a post and it received a massive feedback. This was an organic Facebook post. Can you just tell us a bit about what happened here?
Yeah, so we've been looking for solutions for a problem that we've been dealing with in our work schedule. So we have a family, and instead of having the afternoons kind of drop off a bit as far as our focus and ability to respond quickly and get people booked on the schedule, I started looking for a part time CSR position. And to be honest, it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? We need a part-time CSR. I'm just gonna make a post to see, like, what's out there, kind of like seeing if the fish were gonna bite, basically. And literally, like, within the first 3 hours, it was kind of crazy. Like, people were sharing it, commenting on it, and the way that I made the post, I just kind of explained like what the position would entail, what the hours were, what the pay potential is, and specifically what type of person we're looking for. And I wasn't expecting to get all the traction that we did. And so because there were so many people reaching out asking for more information, like I said, this was just a Facebook post, and so there was no it wasn't on LinkedIn or Indeed or anything like that, no application even at this time. And so I ended up just making a very quick Google form for people to enter their information. Used AI for it, so it took less than 5 minutes to get it out. I went back and I edited the post, put the link there, and then literally in less than 24 hours, we had over 79 applicants.
79 applicants. So people are paying. In fact, I just spoke to, gosh, I was getting I was at the barber yesterday and I mentioned that this happened actually. Yeah, I talk about you while I'm sitting in the hairdresser's chair as well. It was relevant because they started doing social media posting and I was like, hey, we got this formula, right? Like this stuff works. And she said, hey, I'm paying $600 a week right now trying to find barbers. And we get this is CSR versus barber, but just the same, we've seen a lot of people do a CSR post to just go fish like you have and maybe get one or two or three. 79 in 24 hours is insane. Why do you think it got that level of traction?
So, one of the things that we've been really consistent about is our presence on Facebook. So, we post roughly, 4 to 5 times a week on both of our personal pages. We try to be as involved as possible in the community, having, as many conversations as possible, forming new relationships. And if you go to our Facebook page and you just scroll for a few minutes, I think you can get a pretty good idea of who we are, what we stand for. It's pretty obvious that we're the owners of Hayes Electrical, and then you can just see the culture that we're building for our team, and then what we're trying to provide to the community. And I think that there's just a level of trust when it comes to me and Juliet in our community that if we're offering an opportunity for people, people look at it and they just know that, okay, Juliet and Dorian are good people. They're not, they're going to provide a really good opportunity. And I think people just naturally want to be a part of something like that. That's my take anyway.
Yeah, it's a superpower, man. And I think people don't see it enough how important even this organic Facebook,
Mhm.
the cheat sheet that we've been preaching for years now, and that you've followed that 4 to 5 posts a week, and making sure that there's character in there. There's affinity posts, just meaning relatable engagement posts, and authority posts, so people get that you're an electrician, right? We've used you as an example in several classes, and with your permission, of course. And people tend to keep enjoying following you. Anyone that knows Service Loop Electrical at this point tends to follow Dorian Hayes as well, and use you as like the main attraction of influence for that Facebook model as an electrician. But it's also these community events that you guys are doing. I think even last week I saw Juliet attended another event, something for youth, always trying to give back, always trying to help. I mean, how important is that stuff, do you think, to this overall culture and that brand identity as well?
Think it's very important, man. But to be honest, it's really just become like a part of who we are at this point. So one of the things that we always say is we're just here to help, and that's kind of the attitude that we have in everything that we do. So whether it's going out on a sales call, training with our team, or making a Facebook post, we always try to show the attitude of like, hey guys, we're just here to help. We're just putting our best foot forward. Whatever we have, if we can give it, we'll give it. And I think there's so many people that are always reaching out to Juliet and asking her, like, hey, do you want to help out with this? Do you want to be a part of this? And I think, and that it probably even ties back into how people feel whenever, she answers the phone. I think she just gives off this certain energy of like, it just reminds me of sunshine, if that makes any sense. And I think it's just been very important for us to be authentically ourselves, and people naturally gravitate towards that. And when people are talking, or it's like, hey, do you know someone who could help out with this? Because there's so many touch points through Facebook, through going to these events and helping people in general, we tend to be top of mind more often than not.
The thing that stands out, I guess, most in all of that is, why are you doing it? You said it's just become something you've done. It's just who you are. And I think that's the reason why it works so well. I mean, other businesses do things that are similar, like, oh, in this month we advocate to this group, or in this month we advocate, or we wear new uniforms to do this, or we have a banner that says this. But they actually don't embody those values. They're just doing those things to appeal to a particular person at a particular time. What I think separates you is that you actually believe the things that you're saying. In addition to it, you're like, I don't care what month it is. I'm going to support this particular thing. We don't need to update our uniforms to advocate it. People already know we advocate for it because we do it so consistently. And that gives you such a level of authenticity. No one likes to be bullshitted. I love that you want to do the thing and that you're doing it whether someone's watching you or not. And I think that's the true sign of character. Would you do the same thing if no one was watching? And I truly believe you would. And that's what separates you, against so many other people.
Thanks. And I think too, what's crazy is I think there's a lot of things that we would love to do that we're just not in a position to do yet. And to your point of saying that because we actually embody and genuinely believe those things, I think that I've seen that that matters more than us, throwing big community events and donating to this and donating to that, because we've done it and we do it when we can, but it's not something that we promote or advertise or that you actually see a lot of. What you see is like the things that we are able to do, the events we are able to attend and help out with. And I think, just not trying to we're just not always trying to advertise everything. We're just being ourselves.
Mm, I'm with you, 100%. I love what you're about.
I agree. And just keeping that up consistently, I think that's where so many people get lost is they get on social media and they try to be something for someone. And the something they're trying to be is for someone else. And you always end up landing on some, mix up of who you actually are and who you think people want you to be. It's a major misstep. And one of the best things you can do is just be altruistic and go be a good person and go care for your customers and go care for the people that you add on Facebook and that see you on social media that follow you, and just follow a cadence just as a reminder of, well, what side of me do I need to show today to have the best results in creating that know, like, and trust as a person, as a community member, and as an electrician. And that's why it works so well. And I think people have just missed this one little word in what we've all known, right? I'll say it again. People do business with who they know, like, and trust. So I'll reposition that one more time to help everyone listen to this. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. A great brand always has a great brand ambassador. It always has people in the building. One of my mentors for years, he had this expression right on the wall when you walked in the office. I can still see it today. They can copy us, they can try to copy our process, but they can't copy our people.
That's heavy.
They can't do that, right? So it's about that culture you create. And at Hayes Electrical, I believe it's an exceptional culture, and you guys are 100% responsible for that. So congratulations. Do we have a few more minutes to go into the ad stuff still?
As long as you guys do, yeah.
All right, we got one more topic. I introed it on this podcast when we came into this. So let's discuss this just because you just did your first meta ads, Facebook ads specifically. I don't think you were on Instagram too, right? Just Facebook?
I have an Instagram account. We don't focus on it that much. We're just sticking with Facebook for now. But I want to say the ads did place on Instagram, but there wasn't not enough data to really matter.
Fair enough. So you did 31 days. October has 31 days. You did a month campaign to kind of test and measure and see what this would drive. And we just reviewed this in our magnetic marketing class yesterday. And so some of the stats are fresh for me. I know they're fresh for you. And I think it would be really cool to share with people kind of how we broke that down, how we go through it, and what you've learned and what you're able to do now going forward with that, if that's fair.
Yeah. So October is known for being our slowest month of the year. So we spent much of August and September just brainstorming and preparing for the slow month, and we ended up going with a generator inlet offer. And our stance on that was that you can have backup power for your entire house, even your AC unit, for less than $15,000. Quite frankly, 70 to 80% less, which was a huge messaging point. So, from this Facebook ad campaign around the generator inlet offer, we got 115 total leads, and we scheduled 11 of them. We ran 7 calls, sold 2 of them, and for a total of around 4,600.
How much did you spend for budget per day, if you don't mind me asking?
So we started off with $30 a day, and
Mhm.
after the first 2 weeks, I actually increased the budget to $45 a day on one of the winners that we had that was clearly doing way better than the others.
What made you feel like it was clearly doing better than the others?
The data it had, so it was the reach and the impressions that we were getting. So we had a total of four creatives. Um,
Mm.
one of them was just a selfie style video that I recorded myself and edited myself. Very very simple. The other two were actually professionally shot and edited, and then we had one static carousel image ad as well. And so we had all four. Well, we actually started off with three of them. They were all three of them were going, and then there was, out of the first three, there was a clear winner as to which one was doing well based on the reach and the amount of money that Facebook was spending on that specific ad creative.
And I think that was the one where you have like extension cords piled out the window, and then you're like, hang on, and someone throws you a little generator inlet.
Yeah, yeah. So that was one of them, and this was like I said, this was early on in October. So we had the one with the extension cords, and then we had the selfie video that I recorded. And I actually did that because I wanted to test on whether or not the more user generated content did better than something that actually looks like an ad.
Yeah.
Um, but it was pretty evident that the other video, like it, I think in the first 4 days, one of them spent like $40, or two of them spent around $20, and then one of them didn't even break $2. So I let that one run for another 2 days or so, and I shut it off, and then I just stuck with the two that were actually having the budget spent.
So just to be clear then, your selfie style did not perform. And if you were going to go do this again, you wouldn't try that, or am I putting words in your mouth there?
No, I would still try the user generated content. I think every time we do these ads, I'm always gonna have one that's professionally shot, and then I am gonna follow up with my own videos that I record. And I think although it may not have been spending and getting us, like, it got us 15 leads, that video did. But I think what it does is it just gets you an additional touch point with the people who may be seeing the other videos. So I think it
Yeah.
still is important to show the people who are seeing your ads that, hey, like, I am just a real person. I'm local. I'm here in Lake Charles. If you see my other videos, then it's real. We're not trying to
Yeah.
just take your money.
Good observation. I love it. Thank you for that. And so, how much did you spend overall for the month?
$980.
Okay. And you
Okay.
comfortable talking about some of the lessons learned here too and some of the challenges you faced?
Yeah, so it was honestly like running Facebook ads consistently and having the process dialed in could definitely be a full time job for somebody, maybe two. Um, with 115 leads coming in, we did have some automation set up on high level as far as like automated text and emails. We, for the most part, we were able to call within the first 10 minutes, but that being said, we noticed the gaps that we noticed where we didn't have a process for what happens after hours or on the weekends. So you think about it, most people after work scrolling on Facebook, they see an ad come up and they submit the form. Well, we're not in office at the time, so these people weren't contacted until the following morning when they're probably already at work. And so the fact that there was 115 leads and we only scheduled 11 of them tells, I'm pretty confident that even a 10% or 20% increase would be huge, for our business. And so the follow up process is definitely what we're going to be focusing on for the next round. Um, yeah, and just keeping the creative as authentic as possible, and yeah, keeping it going.
There was something about some got disqualified, wrong phone numbers. Was
Mm.
that it? What happened there, Dorian?
Yeah, so in the form that we use an instant form on Facebook. It's native to the app, very easy to set up, but there is a feature that basically uses the autofill for whoever using the information that's on your Facebook profile. And so some people, and to be frank, there was a lot of people who were over the age of 35, so like in between 40 and 60, who filled out the form, and they could have had their Facebook profile for the last 20 years, and if they haven't updated their information, they get new numbers. Well, whenever we go to call based on the information we got, a lot of them were saying, this number isn't in service anymore, or they just didn't answer.
Yep.
And
Fair enough.
so we're gonna turn that autofill feature off to where they actually have to manually enter their information with the hopes of getting a little bit more accurate
Yep.
information.
And that's credit to Forrest. You guys heard his podcast. He's in our marketing classes weekly, helping people with this, including Dorian here yesterday. So he mentioned that. And so I have a list of results I'm looking down at on my phone. I want to rip through this with you guys. Dorian, you tell me if any of this is off at all. You said basically on day 35, so you ran this for 31 days. Yesterday was November 3rd when we went through this. 115 leads, 11 booked, 7 calls ran to date, 2 sold, sales total about 4,600. Did I get that right? So average ticket 2,300 a piece, which is consistent fairly with your guys' company average ticket. Average opportunity, meaning the number of calls ran, 4,600 divided by 7, we're just under $700 per average opportunity for these leads. Return on ad spend about 4.6x, just about 5x. Your cost per appointment booked, $90. You still have about 40 leads to follow up that you're going to follow up till about 10x. Is that right?
Yes,
And you still have 4 currently booked calls to go and make presentations, run the play with.
correct.
So these stats could still be creeping up. This is why I wanted to share it, because we have such clarity on this. It's such a fine example of what you can do when you understand advertising. If you don't worry about that, guys. We're here to help you with podcasts and other value pieces like this. In fact, Forrest told me he's putting a little bit of a lead magnet together. Shouldn't even call it a lead magnet. We usually call it a value piece. Putting a value piece together for you guys so that you can know exactly how to do this step by step, so you can go and test it for yourself. Dorian, if someone was going to test this for themselves like you did, what big pointers would you give them to make sure that they do it in a controlled manner and reduce as much risk as possible to them?
So start with what the overall goal is. So, for example, we know that our goal is to get into someone's house to present a 6 option presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And
Perfect.
so all of our efforts are designed to get us into that position. We know that if we can get there, then pretty much we're just following our typical sales process that our team is trained on. So starting with the end in mind and then working backwards from each step in the process and how you're going to, yeah, how you're going to get that done. And so, whenever you have, 10, 12, sometimes 15 leads coming in every single day, if you're not maximizing your ability to get those people on the schedule, then you're pretty much wasting the ad spend. And so that people aren't going in blind, I would definitely say have a clear process on how you're going to get these people scheduled, and what your follow-up process is going to look like, because this does tend to be, like we've talked about in class, a much longer game, because these aren't people who typically aren't don't have the intent on calling an electrician, but we interrupted their scroll, and because they have some type of interest in it, they're interested enough to fill out a form, and then we have to kind of you know guide them towards getting on the schedule, if you would. So that's from a process perspective. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't, if you would have asked me about this stuff 3 months ago, like, I would have had absolutely no clue. Honestly, when I was first getting the ad set up, like, it was kind of foreign to me. I was reading through it. I had to do a lot of research on what certain terms meant, but just the fact of just doing the thing and kind of trusting in yourself to learn as you go, being able to recognize the gaps, recording the data and using the data to make decisions is what's allowed me to have the confidence that I have that Facebook ads is something that could potentially aid in growing our business. So
Yeah, really good. Appreciate that share. And I think what most people don't realize that really helps with this idea is that yes, you saw a 5x. Our desired number is a 10x. We'd love to see a 10x, but you're not done. And a couple more sales there, following your opportunity average, we may still see that 10x from that blip, but ultimately you're not trying to survive off Facebook ads.
Mhm.
You're trying to thrive off Facebook ads. And there is a difference, guys. It's really important to have your basics set. It's important to have your Google set, your website set, to have organic lead flow beyond that, to have some LSA, some consistent channels that you really rely on. And then when you add these additional ads, even PPC, I lump in this category too, Google pay per click. Yes, there's a higher cost, typically a higher cost per lead, which means typically a higher cost per call booked, but still every day of the week for those that know their numbers, if I said, "Hey, Dorian, give me 90 bucks, I'll give you a solid lead," would you take that deal?
absolutely. I mean, like you said, because we know our numbers, we know that any lead that we get, and specifically any booked lead, there's an opportunity to make on average to sell a job roughly 2,300. But like I said, with the sales process that we've learned from you guys, there's always an opportunity to hit that, business changing jackpot every single time. So yeah, any opportunity we have to go out and meet a customer, I think it's worth going all for it.
Absolutely. And if you guys haven't solved this for your own company, to be able to take that average ticket, multiply it times your average conversion rate, so 2,300, 60% on average. So we're talking about what, $1,300 average
Roughly.
opportunity. That means for every booked call on your calendar, assuming they show up, is worth $1,300 to your business. So if you've got blank spots on your calendar, someone's able to give you leads and to be able to book those calls for, a tenth of that, which for you means I would actually draw a line at paying $120 a lead. I would start to look at this constructively and go, okay, we're getting pretty expensive here. What's going on? Right? Because of that 10x principle. And guys, where the 10x comes from is quite simple. If you've ever heard, hey, what should a marketing budget be for my company? Well, at max, we want to see at 10%, 10% of your revenue. So that means, hey, if I'm going to buy an appointment on my calendar, I want to spend 1/10 of what that average opportunity value is. So if you're at 1,200, 1,300, I don't want to spend more than 120 or $130 a lead. This is really important math. You guys can get more of this from our electric roadmaps. We'll link a bunch of stuff below to help you with that. But I also want to point out why this is so important to thriving now. Because if you can get return on ad spend, if you can keep running ads like this, Dorian, you got 21,000 impressions, I believe. No, it was double that. But your reach was 21,000. You had a frequency of about 2.2, meaning the average person saw your ads twice and you had 4 ads at times 2 or 3 running. So fair to say they would have seen you 6 times within that month on average. That's a
Yeah.
lot of reaching your local community. And you had that set up within 15 or 20 miles of your shop, I think.
Yes, 15 miles around or around Lake Charles. Yeah.
So if you guys think about what that means for your brand, yes, you're still on Google. Yes, you still have the LSA. Yes, there's people that come and find you, but they're also seeing you. You found a way to promote yourself sustainably and make money off those promotions immediately within the frame that you've got to pay your bill. So if you could do that indefinitely, if you knew, if we could just flick a switch, Dorian, and say, you know what, results are going to continue at this same trend, would you turn that switch on going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
All right. Well, that's the acid test. And as a result, I believe when people go and they say, hey, I need an electrician, guess what? They're going to see Hayes Electrical and they're going to go, oh, that's the guy with the ads. I saw him in a selfie video. I saw him throw that plug across the screen and have all these extension cords everywhere. That's the guy that does the portable generators. Let's give them a shot too.
Yeah. And to add to that, there was actually one of the ones that we sold. He actually didn't even submit a Facebook form. So his wife saw the ad, and they had been talking about generators. They already had a generator, but they were tired of the extension cords, like the video said. And she showed her husband the video, and then he went to our website, checked us out, submitted a form on our website, and
Wow.
then that's how we. Yeah. So to your point of people are seeing you here, but yeah. So
Absolutely. Well, great job, Dorian. We're super proud. Anything else you'd like to share with everyone today before we wrap this one up?
um, I would say if you're I know sometimes content can be a challenge for some people. What I found is, asking for that brutally honest feedback, but also just documenting the if you go on 3 sales calls in a day, write down some of the questions that people are asking you and answer them, and then build content around that. Because if there's people asking these questions, there might be another person who you haven't met yet might have the same questions on their mind. And if you're putting that out, providing the answers to those questions, it just kind of makes the making content a lot more natural, authentic, because you don't have to try to recreate a whole script. You're using real situations. So
It's like turning your customer into your own consultant. What are they doing? What are they asking? And now you know how to do it better.
yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In fact, I just wrote an email about this morning. Offer linking. Someone we worked with was a coach to us. Chris Morrison came up with that offer linking. Really, really powerful, powerful tool to just make sure that you're using the words that you're already getting from your marketplace to go back and market yourself. As he would say, or I adapted from what he would say, market the problem you want to solve, and the sale is yours to mess up.
Mm-hmm. Bingo.
Guys, I've got one more plug to finish us off here, and this one's really important. There's two big things that you guys need to hear, you need to know, and you're going to continue to hear this, continue to get to understand what's happening here. It's a special moment being that Dorian's here with us on this particular call, because Dorian experienced us from a time where we were just PDFs still. We were just a bunch of documents you had to read and then come to class and role play with us and learn this process, the loop method. And then we started to see, as we repositioned these things over time, we started to see results happen faster and faster and faster and faster. And eventually we got to this app, Kajabi. And that's what this little sign is over here above me. Because we did such great things with Kajabi, they sent us a plaque because of how popular it got there. But Kajabi had some issues for us. It wasn't the best. So the next thing we did in the last year was invest in what we call the SLE Pro App, which is our own branded white labeled app that's here and ready to serve. Dorian, do you like the SLE Pro app better than Kajabi?
Oh, dude, it's a world's difference, man. I mean, you have literally everything you need to learn and operate your business all in one app. Whether that's going to the community for support, all the trainings, the classes, even getting to the daily classes that we have with you guys, is literally just a few taps away. With the addition of the AI that's built into it that can navigate the entire knowledge database of everything that you guys put out. Matter of fact, it's so easy that our technicians are using the AI on that app and they're learning from it. So, um, yeah, awesome job,
Thank you
guys.
for saying that. Thank you for saying that. So I wanted to bring this up because something really important is happening. We've been working and testing on and with people like Dorian and the other clients that are already using the app and making sure that everything is going to be smooth and ready to go public. And what does that mean? It means that for the first time ever, you can actually log in on electricserviceapp.com. That's where the app is. You can go and learn more about the app there, and you can create your own account. and you'll get immediately the lessons that will take you through how to use the app, how to use the AI, a bit about our team, a bit about everything we do here so that you can start leveraging that. And at that free level, we're having a weekly roundtable session led by one of our future podcast guests and one of our current members here in SLE Pro himself, Scott Parker. Going to be joining us there and doing these roundtable sessions for anyone to come in and just meet weekly to have different discussions and interview different industry experts within SLE Pro or even outside of, and with any company that's doing great things around, including some of our podcast guests here will be joining there. From there, you also get a trial access to join what we call the open circuit. Now, the open circuit is extra special because what we're doing is taking what used to be just in PDFs, these most basic lessons, and making those available to you so that you have the loop method, our demand call training, and our opportunity call training recorded, not just the PDFs, but our actual recorded trainings at that level. And finally, it's a price point that we can talk about. The price for that is just $149 a month. You can get access to all of this and begin having wins like Dorian has seen, like Scott Hayes, like for Nick and Fernando, like so many other people who've been on the podcast with us doing these great things. You can get access to all of that. The Winspiration, have the posting wall be in with all of these current members and the great things that they are doing. We've never done this before. We have to test this and make sure it's a good fit. In fact, Joe and I have agreed we wouldn't charge for it at all if we didn't just need to keep the trolls out and keep the intent high to come and learn and work together. Not only that, but includes all our resources like the best deals known to man for Duramax portable generators, for working with Forrest and top line growth, for working with Zach Lefko, another podcast coming up, and Nesta Sites, for working with GFA, Go Figure Accounting, and the Profit First Method, and countless other examples of the resources that we're bringing these strategic alliances to save you money and maximize our community. The more people that join, the more power we're going to have to go to the wholesalers, the insurance companies, Dodge, Mercedes, Ford, getting guys vans discounts and everything else, tools, Milwaukee. This is going to be a superpower of a group, and I don't want you guys to miss this. So click the link below, go check out electricserviceapp.com, and you could actually see this app and get in there and start training at the highest level yourself. And if you know someone who you think should be in that app, then you're also going to have the opportunity to become an affiliate and refer others to the program and actually earn your membership for free and cash on top of that. I mean, it's limitless. So this is a massive plug. Finally, guys, though, if you're an ex-member at some point, we always say we don't have exes, right, Joe? But if you've been a member of SLE, through the variations that we've been through, all the different iterations rather, well, this is a great time to let you know as well. Please come back. You have lifetime access to this for free. We want you in the open circuit. We want you in the community. We miss you. This is us reaching a hand out. Come back. I don't think we've been able to handle that just right just yet. This is the opportunity we've been working towards to get it to a place that we're stable. This is our stake in the moon. This is the flag. We know we're here. We know we're here to stay, and we'd like you to come back and stay a while too. So please reach out so we can get you your access. And to everyone else that's been supporting and helping us to this point, we just want to thank you. It means the world that we get to help the world of electricians. And Joe, I think I just got to shut up, man. Anything you want to add to that?
I can just put it short and sweet. It really is our highest honor being able to serve this industry. It's grateful to know that it's not just being tailored to the big three anymore. This isn't something that just works for electricians too. This is meant for electricians by electricians. We've poured our entire heart and souls into this, and we wouldn't put our names on it if we didn't have complete confidence this was going to work. So with that being said, check it out. I know this is going to be a great thing to get involved in, and it'd truly be my highest honor to serve you at the highest level.
Thanks so much, Dorian. Anything else?
No, man. Cue the applause.
The applause. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. We'll see you again next week on another great episode. I think that one's going to be Kyle Electric, Andy.
Yep.
Oh my God. God, I can't wait for you guys to hear this story. Chicken skin in 10 minutes. I had tears in my eyes. It's not all sensitive. It's a huge uprising story that you guys, I know you're going to love. So we'll see you again next week. Cheers.
Take care, friends.